What's going on, man? How's it going?
Dude, it's going really good, Sean. Really good.
Look at that background. Where are you?
Actually in Nicaragua, Central America. You been here before?
I have not. I have not.
Oh,
Tell me about it.
and we got to get you down. Nicaragua, dude, it's absolutely beautiful. We're just above Costa Rica. Kind of reminds me of like the South, dude. It's a very little population, but I mean, this is the middle of the city. And I don't know if you're listening to the podcast, you won't go see it, but it's green, it's green and beautiful. And one of the safer countries, but we got it's crazy politics and all kinds of fun, but it's good.
Yeah. Are you from there? What brought you down there?
No, born and raised in Arkansas, but my beautiful wife, who I met in college, is Nicaraguense, and so we decided to move back here, and we've been here about 9 years, and dude, just absolutely love it. This is home for us. So,
That's awesome. I see some mountains in the background. It looks
land
like
of lakes and volcanoes. So everywhere you look, there's a volcano or a lake or something. So yeah.
I'm gonna put on my list to check out because I don't know, looks good. I've definitely heard some good things about it, and yeah, it'll be fun to
When you get
check
when
out.
you get ready, you can stay at my beach house or my house in Managua. Just let me know. We'll have a team arrange it. So no worries.
I love it. Thank you so much for the offer. Well, dude, you said have your team arrange it. For people that don't know, tell me a little bit about what you do because you've definitely inspired me, and I want to, I want to share that with everybody else.
I appreciate that, man. So we gotta have two sides of our business. One, we are located in Nicaragua, which is in Central America. And here in Nicaragua, it's a great country, but the average education is about the third grade. And we got a lot of political issues and problems, and it's very discouraging for a lot of people. And so the biggest part of our company, what we're focused on is creating stability in the world. And how do we create stability in chaos and the VUCA and complexity around us? But on the back end, which is really fun, we have about 100 and actually continue that. We have about 180 full-time team members in our agency. Every single kid is on scholarship. We have a master's MBA in the States that every manager gets involved with. We are one of the highest paying, we're the highest average paycheck in the country of any company with above 100 employees. It's, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. But on the front end, we're a digital marketing company. We're super innovative in the way that we have scaled. So we're actually one of the first digital marketing franchisors in the United States. So what does that mean? That means we're going across the US, finding the best marketing companies there are and merging them together, consolidating the fulfillment and the systems and the operations, giving the end client a local service, someone right there in their hometown, someone right there in their community, but yet at the same time, all of the big aspects of a big firm, QA, training, development,
Yeah.
education, like all that type of stuff. And so we're basically a big marketing company trying to do some good in the world.
I I love it, and I know. I think the first time we spoke, you kind of talked about it in reference to like the real estate shift, how everyone started doing their own thing in real estate, and now everyone's under, and like they're run their own business, but like under an umbrella, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think marketing is interesting in several formats. There's no barrier of entry. You could be a 12-year-old in Malaysia and be crushing it. You could be anywhere in the world. You could be a fraud. You could be anything. It's easy to fake reviews. It's easy to get out there. In fact, every coach will teach you how to be, way bigger than what you really are. And so that becomes a lot of, on one hand, it's great because anyone can make it. On the other hand, it's frustrating for the end client. And so I think there's going to be a lot of changes over the next 5 years to the industry in terms of like certifications and what does it look like to get into the industry. And so this is all in one side. And the other side, I do think the marketing world is similar to real estate, as you just said. 35 years ago, every realtor in the country was independent. You didn't need a job. You didn't need a formal education. You didn't need any type of formal training or certification. You could just jump in. And if you communicated well, effectively, if you worked hard, if you hustled, you could do really, really well in real estate.
Mm.
And so a company by the name of Century 21 came along, and they had a very simple idea. They just looked out and they said, wow, with thousands and thousands of realtors, but we all have our own websites. Like, what if we built one website that was just like the best website ever and we all split it? What if we got one set of technologies? What if we all aggregated ourselves together and increased our buying power, lowered cost, and increased efficiencies? And that's what they did. And very shortly after that, it got very difficult to compete with them, which is why today, when's the last time you saw an independent realtor?
Yeah.
Right. And so I think digital marketing is going to follow that landscape with companies like myself. We were the first one in the digital space. We launched in December of 2020. But since then, there's been a couple of others try to file FDDs. I think only one has been approved. And so you're going to start seeing some more people, come out of the woodworks to make it happen, I think. So.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, that's very forward thinking. Like I like, it's funny. I was actually having a chat. I'm trying to start like an entrepreneurial group. Just again, one of those things that I find that like, and I don't even want to like exclude people that aren't entrepreneurs. I just find people that have like this spirit, right, of like thinking in the future, thinking big, and then having the discipline and internal integrity to making it happen. And that's what I'm hearing about the way that you thought about this. Like you just kind of like looked at this problem. It really wasn't a problem for you if you had an agency. It's a problem for the end user, right? Because like I'll tell you, right, I obviously have an agency, and one of the hardest things is when I'm coming in is people say, hey, I've been burned by 10 agencies. Like, like how can you prove it? And it is tough because like I can show you case studies, give you references, whatever, but at the end of the day, like you got to take a risk, which is interesting. So, but let's jump way back in the beginning. So you answered the question about what you do by talking nothing about what you do and talking about your impact. And that's what I love. I'll tell you, I don't know, you probably inspired this a little bit. I have some other people that are really mission driven that I work with that inspired it too. When someone asks me like what I do at my marketing agency, I try to say expand the impact of fitness and wellness companies. And now if someone's like, cool, like how do you do that? It's like, awesome. We run a digital marketing agency, and what we do is this, and this, but that's not what we're here to do. Really, like my like story is that I felt like I worked with a great company in Milwaukee Tools, learned a lot about marketing, didn't love the mission behind it, and was like, I want to do something that's like, that like feeds my soul a little bit more. And I didn't have a great idea. I didn't have a great product idea or business idea, but I was like, I know I could do marketing, and I know it can help, brands that I like. So that's kind of how I got there. What makes you feel like you want to, like you're clearly like passionate and like you're proud of the fact that you're paying people, high wages in the country and things like that. What makes you feel deep down that like that's really something you're, you feel needed, like you need to do?
I think that there's many things there that have brought me up. Like, I mean, the way I was raised and all this good stuff. And, I didn't always have the ability to, I didn't grow up in a home that was like super wealthy or anything like that. We definitely had to make a lot of sacrifices. And so, especially when I was younger and, for me, I think the world is changing a lot in terms of the ability for team members, right? Like what is this right now? They call it the great resignation, right? We've kept like 5% turnover. We don't lose clients. And the reason don't lose team members. And the reason we don't is because my role at Hite is to find the best people I can, to bring them on and to treat them the best I can. I want to give everything I can to my team. And I think this is where people mess up. Like a big trend right now is in our industry is you give me before I give you. Like you've heard of commission only salespeople, right? It's the epitome of it, right? All right, awesome. I want you to work hard. I want you to do everything you can. I want you to crush it. You need to be on time. You need to show up for meetings. You need to follow up. You need to do everything. And then when you sell someone, then I will give you money. Then I will give you a return, right? And so for us at Hite, what we do is, man, I want to give unconditionally everything I got. And the hope is that most people will reciprocate that. They want to give back. They want to hold true. They want to do everything, right? And this is how Hite has grown. So this year, we'll be in the top it looks like we're going to be in like the top 650 fastest growing companies in the US, top 650 fastest growing companies in the US. And that is with no investment, no investors, and no debt. Of the top 650, there's only about 50 of which who can say that as well, right? Like we are one of the fastest growing companies in what we're doing, and we're doing it in a very safe way. During COVID, we didn't cut one salary, we didn't fire one person, right? Why is this? Well, it's because as an organization, we believe, and I mean, we don't try to make people believe. We don't try to go out and show off believe. Like there's no articles about this stuff that was written, in Forbes because we wanted to show the world. Like we just naturally give everything we can. No, by the way, we only hire leaders that think that same way as well. It's twice now that I've given my VP of product, he's my secondhand guy in the entire company, 2 times since working for Hite, 2 times have I given him a raise, a significant raise, and he's declined it. He's declined it so that his managers could get their raises, and then he would wait for his for 6 months or 5 months or 3 months until he could get his. Right. And so how do we create a culture of like really true servitude? I had someone the other day asking me, because we've had literally billionaires in our offices, like studying like what we do here in Nicaragua. And I had one the other day, like, dude, man, how do I convince my people I care about them? And I was like, that's an interesting question. And so I dig into it. I was like, all right, well, what are you doing right now? And he's like, man, I mean, I'm doing like the normal stuff. Like, all right, well, are you, do you ever surprise them maybe with like, I don't know, free lunch or free dinner? Like, no, that's a great idea. I was like, do you ever like, I don't know, like maybe an end of the year, like huge fanatic party, like, I mean, over the top, like take them for some, like, do you give any type of extra benefits or extra or retirement or like, what are you doing to show like my wife, I'm married to her, but that's not how I show you. That's a piece of paper, right? Like I show her I love her by, buying her flowers, taking her out to eat, like doing stuff that's not in the contract of a marriage. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Step number 1 is to actually care. If you actually care about someone, those things naturally happen, right? And so for me and how we have won is we find leaders and managers, and the only way you're going to get promoted as a manager here is that you have unconditional, crazy love for human beings. And then through that, we end up hiring the best. I mean, a girl just reached out to me this morning from Oxford, and she's like, you're the only company I'm applying to. I'm being super vulnerable. Like Oxford, she's getting her master's in Oxford, and like, where can I work? What position? I don't care, and like, we get those every single day. I was talking to an employee yesterday for the first time, and he came up to me. He's like, JC, I just want you to know, like, I can't believe I'm sitting here talking. I was actually eating lunch with new hires, and I can't believe I'm eating lunch with you, dude. Like I've dreamed, this is my 5th time to apply for Hite, and I'm finally getting in. Right. And so by creating that rapport, now you get attraction. People want to work for you, and now you can get the best talent. When you get the best talent, when people stick around, we all know, dude, and this compounds in ridiculous ways, right? We all know that we learn through experience. All right. So with that methodology in line, right? It's not through education. It's not through training. It's through experience. Well, what's more valuable, having team members that have been around for 4 years or having the smartest people that have been around for a year? No, like 4 years. Keeping team members is so critical to really having substantial growth, I believe anyway. Right. So
I'm talking like people that know the company, like the company, know the mission. And you were talking about, I mean, obviously you need empowerment, right? You need people to make their own decisions. So that's critical, right? If someone's not there for a while and doesn't trust everything that you guys are doing and like, feels loyal to the brand, like they're not going to feel empowered to make their own decisions.
And when you start really believing this, now it becomes really interesting, man. Like I get high off of this stuff of like, dude, I love the idea of going, man, I want to provide this benefit for my team. And people are like, that's impossible. Like, no. Let's figure out how to do it. So some of the things we're working on right now, we just signed a deal. We have a new facility. It's about $10.73 million facility that we're building. It's literally a complex. It's got a salon, a barbershop. It's got a huge gymnasium. It's got 5 different restaurants plus a cafeteria. It's got a coffee shop. It's got like so many amenities, 100% free, just like Google. right? It's going to be the first of its kind in Central America. We have right now, we're working on an agreement with a university in Arkansas where every single child, like imagine this, imagine if every single child at Hite, when they graduated high school, mom and dad didn't have to worry about college. We pay for it. As long as you've worked with Hite for 5 years, I will personally make sure that every single one of your kids gets an amazing education in the US. That would be bat crazy. You think mom and dad's going to, you think the wife is going to let her husband quit Hite? You know what I mean? Like, do you think she's not going to push him to work his butt off for our company? Absolutely. Right. And so when you start doing aggregation, right, like we think we can send 1,000 kids to school, to university over the next 10 years. Now I reach out to a university. I'm like, Lou, I want to send 1,000 kids to your school. What kind of deal can you work with me? And you get really good deals, right? And so how do we make these things happen, right? And so it's so intriguing what you can do in aggregation for your team and benefits and getting really fun and sexy that would empower a culture of like, dude, I'm gonna stick around. The core thing for us, and I know it's for you, is happiness. And I believe that we have 4. I've been studying happiness a lot lately. And especially in the last year, like what helps our team members become happy? And I've asked this to everyone. And, one of them, because we live in a country that has a lot of political issues, like, oh, I believe that if we had a democracy, we would be happier. And I'm like, that's interesting. So who's the most democratic country in the world? Like maybe the US? Probably. Yeah. I mean, do you think they're happy? I don't think so. So I would argue that like having a democracy doesn't make you happy. Well, but wealth, like we're one of the poorest countries in the world. Like we have more wealth. Like again, some of the wealthiest countries in the world aren't the happiest, right? Like, and so we go through. I think there's 4 things. Number 1 is family. Being a part of a community is so critical. Now it could be your blood family, or it could be a team, but being a part of a group of people, right? So at Hite, we do everything we can to create a family atmosphere. A daycare is across from my office that all the kids at Hite are in all the time, right? So how do we create a family atmosphere? Number 2 is faith in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Like you got to live life for someone else. And so how do we create opportunities for our company to serve the world around them? So we do lots of fundraisers. We do a lot of things where people can give and donate. And then we get like, look, Hite was able to give this much money to someone. I'll tell you a story. We had a kid, this was a year ago now, and unfortunately, well, anyway, I'll tell the story. So a kid a year ago, he was at Hite for 2 months. And this kid was just a terrible kid, like nice kid, but just sucky worker, very, complained about everything, was he was just not a happy human being. And we let him go. If you lie, cheat, steal, or you gossip are really the only ways to like really get kicked out, or lazy. And we let him go. And I mean, he was pissed. He wrote an article on LinkedIn about how like everything was fake. Like this company is all of this great stuff, but yet it's like, whatever. It even went to the government and filed a complaint, against us, right? Made up some whatever. Anyways. 6 months later, he found out that he had cancer, like terminal cancer. And he was trying to get this latest study and he didn't know who to reach out to. And who do you think he reached out to? He reached out to our company. And he said, out of anyone, I know you guys will help. I got the message because I wasn't on my phone. It was a date night. It was a Friday night. I had a date night. I got on my phone at 9:00. He had messaged the company chat at 6. Like he had someone message the company chat at 6:00. 9:00, by the time I messaged it, 100% of the funds that he wanted to raise was raised by our company alone, like no one else, just our team members going in, right? And so we do a lot of these things because, again, talking into faith and serving and like helping others. We have a full-time minister at Hite, like literally a full-time chaplain. His office is just around the corner of mine. So how do we spread this as much as possible? And then the third thing is opportunity. And this is the one that I think covers a lot of different things. I think a lot of times people, they do care about education. And man, I just want my kids to have a degree, even if some of us don't. Well, I think you should have the opportunity to do that if you value it enough. Man, I want to become super wealthy. I just love money so much. I love whatever, like that's weird. I don't like it, but I think you should have the opportunity to get a good job and to move up, to grow. Exactly. Yeah. Choice, opportunity. And so these 3 things is what we really try to provide within our organization to try to curate a culture of gratitude, of thankfulness, of, like we want to be a part of this. And then all of this curates the idea that if we do this, they will do it for our clients, right? My job as the CEO is not to take care of our clients, it's to take care of our people, of our team, and to make sure that we are there with any need they could possibly want, And so happiness, it's fun. It's interesting.
Yeah, man. Those are, it's funny when people break happiness down. You're someone that looks at it like me. I kind of try to break it down too, which almost like on the surface level seems a little counterintuitive, right? It's like, no, it's something that you just naturally feel. But I love thinking about it. And family, faith, and opportunity. I mean, those are really, really good things, right? We know what that inner feeling is like when you feel like you are a part of a community. Or a family, right? And there's a greater good, and you have support, and you can give support. Faith kind of goes back to that first question I asked about. You're clearly trying to leave a legacy with the work that you're doing, right? And I think it's important for others. And then opportunity, right? You never want to feel stuck, like you only have one route, even if it's not. It doesn't have to necessarily be that you understand your exact route moving forward, but you need to have choices around that. I know that's cool. You said you're studying happiness. What does studying look like to you? Because it's funny. I'm actually writing a chapter in my book called Practitioner versus the Student, and I feel like I'm a practitioner. I feel like sometimes that used to make me feel like a fraud. Now I realize that's the way I learn. Right? For me, like if I want to learn something, I just go do it. Even something simple like rock climbing. I just started rock climbing recently, and the way I got into, like I literally started Googling it and just shut it down. I'm like, what are you doing? Go rock climb. Go to an indoor gym where it's safe. Start climbing. Start talking to people. Watch other people climb. And stuff like that. So when you say studying happiness, what does that look like to you?
Yeah, good question. So for me, it's all about communicating and talking with people, right? And so talking with my team and trying to find trends and ideas. And by the way, these three pillars that I have, they're empowerments. They're not, formulas, right? And so what I mean by that is like they empower you to be more happy. They are not, if you do this, you will be happy, right? And so there's a very big difference here. And then I have a coach. Actually, I have a coach that literally her entire company is based on happiness, and they go to like the World Happiness Summit. And they do she's just
Who is it?
Very, very, very involved. It's a woman here in Nicaragua. So
okay.
I have to introduce you if you'd like. Veronica's her name. And so there's also, I have another mentor that owns a big company that he is the chief happiness officer. And like, that's what his title is. And he's very aligned with us in terms of like, how do we curate happiness? And the interesting thing here is that, I don't do extra things for my wife so that I get laid more. I don't know if I can say that. Sorry. But that's definitely a benefit, right? Like, it's definitely like, it's not that I'm not aware that these things happen, right? So it's the same thing with a company. Like it's not that I love people and I serve them so that it is an ROI on my company. But guys, it is a huge ROI on your company to love and to serve your people. Like you're gonna get laid a lot more if you're really nice to your wife and you buy her flowers more often, you do more crazy things, you surprise her more. Like you get what you reap what you sow. And so, it's not that I'm doing it. It's not that I'm doing it. I think someone mentioned the other day, actually it's my wife, right? We give expecting to receive, right? So the other day she had just mentioned, she's like, man, I feel like we've helped that couple out so much and they just have no gratitude. They're just so da-da-da. I'm like, babe, if you were really giving unconditionally, you wouldn't even be thinking about how much they liked us back, just give unconditionally, right? And so, but that does not mean that we're not aware. And so, and I will say an opposite of this, I have friends that are good friends that I love and respect, and like we are very close, but are the complete opposite of me. They don't care. Like they're just straight business, right? Like this is a transaction. Like they're just not, they've been burned so many times in their life or whatever. And that is okay too. Just own it. And they do. They're like, dude, Steve Jobs was one of those guys, right? Like Steve Jobs was known as like, dude, if you're going to be on my team and you're going to be on the Mac deal, you're going to be the best of the best, or you can get that junk out of here. Right. And I don't give, like, he didn't care, but the engineers knew that that's what they were signing up for. Like,
yeah, he was raw. Like,
he was raw. Right. And so but it wasn't really a loving, caring environment. It was, we're creating the best technology in the world, and do you want to be on that? Right. And there's people, I have a couple of friends, again, like, you know, like you're, again, they're salespeople. They want to make more money than anyone. If you go work from them, you will make more money than anyone, because they pay. That's their love language. That's how they share, is dollar bills. And like, you will, but again, what is your expectation? What do you want? Right. And so just owning who you really naturally are, and then expanding that, and then finding a team that react to that. Right.
Yeah, I really like the concept of giving unconditionally. Have you read Gary Vee's book? It's like called 12 and a half. Yeah, 12 and a half. Have you read that by Gary Vee?
I have, yeah.
I picked it up yesterday morning, and he literally started with a very similar story, all about like giving. And it's funny because I picked it up yesterday, read it in the morning, and TRX is a company. They make fitness equipment. I'm trying to do some marketing with them, and I sent an email to the owner, and I basically said, hey, you know, like, this is why, like, you know, I like your brand. He actually got back to me. He said, like, awesome, like, we're good on like the marketing front. So my thought was to like push, right? That, and because this honestly, like, this is definitely a weakness for me. That my internal compass pushes me towards like business. And I understand the concept of giving value. And in my heart, that's my number one goal for 2022, is to give unconditionally. I don't give a fuck if people want to, you know, whatever. I don't care if they how they receive it. I'm gonna give and see what, and like, yeah, everyone says give, and I know that's good in my heart. It's like, I want the world to prove me wrong. So right. So like I sent him an email. I said, Randy, of course I want to work with you guys. You got a great big brand. Actually, this is the reason I reached out. And it was the longest email I ever wrote. It was 21 paragraphs. I can't believe he read it. And it was basically a step-by-step guide of why I know they're missing one little thing in their marketing funnel, and word for word how I would do it. And I said, you know, I hope this works for you. Right? Run with it. Like, you know, I love their brand. I buy all their stuff. I live nomadically, so I live in like Airbnbs. Like, I need in-home equipment. I use their stuff all the time. They're a great brand. I want them to succeed. And the response was like, you know, this is awesome. Let's set up a call. And again, like you said, like, it was genuine interest. And it was just good timing. I read that Gary Vee book. I'm like, you know what am I, like, he, you know, he's started this huge company. He can find this information I have. It's not like I'm the holder of this information, right? But let me give it to him. Let me just serve it to him on a platter, and hopefully his team can run with it and be better, and whatever, you know, either it'll turn something for me or not. And like you said, you know, I'm starting to realize, like, you know, hey, you can give unconditionally and be aware of the benefits. You know, that's really beautiful. I like the way that you said, you're telling your wife, like, you shouldn't even think like, what am I going to get in return? And it is, it's hard. It's like against us, you know, our natural instincts, right? But well, for some of us, but that's really awesome.
Yeah, bro.
Love that story. Yeah. You mentioned that you have a coach, you mentioned that you have a mentor. Talk to me about that. Do you feel like, you know, in the realm of happiness, right? Do you feel like they give you, you know, confidence and good sense of direction, or kind of how do they support your lifestyle?
So I got a couple of mentors that I don't pay, and then I've got a coach full-time. Actually, we actually hired him. He coached me for 5 months, and then I hired him full-time to be a head of leadership development at Hite. And that's all he does, is develop and coach our leaders. And he also works in our inner circles and our communities that we have. And you know, I think for me, you know, it's an interesting question. I think for me, it's about like, just through trial and error, I have found what makes me happy. And I'm really like stuck on that. I don't get, like, my wife and I have one car, we have a pretty basic house. We do have a very nice beach house, but like, other than that, like, we're super basic, right? This doesn't, we know what makes us happy and we're aware of it. I think so many people are not aware of what really makes them happy. So for us, serving people and seeing that smile, like getting the message from mom and dad saying like, dude, I am so excited to be here. I finally am able to get my kids into a better school. Like, those type of things are like, they like feed my soul, you know? And I think so many people are like looking at Lamborghinis or whatever. And like, it's because someone else thinks they're, I mean, like, if you just looked at a naked eye, right? It's like, I don't know. We talked to a human being that had never seen anything in their world. And I looked at it and I showed them a Lamborghini and I showed them a toy. Like, there's no difference, you know, like there's not a real difference, you know? And so it's just intriguing to me. And I think if people really just looked into their lives, you know, and we do this every day, it's so hard, you know, every single person in here would say that their family and their kids mean more to them than anything. But yet every single person in here would say that 5% of their time is spent with their kids. That does not make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. And so so how do we as a human being, we don't have any self-control around these things, right? Even myself included, right? We don't, you know, you look at the gym or anything like this, you know, like you don't want to, you know, the desires go above what we need.
Yeah, desires, right? A lot of that happens subconsciously, and that's the thing. You know, you were talking about ownership before. I think people need to take ownership that they don't align their time with their values, like you're kind of saying, and like you said, it's desires. It's happening unconsciously. It's not like people are maliciously saying, "Hey, I'm not spending time with their kids." It's, oh, they're getting caught up with emails at work and getting on the phone and watching Netflix or scrolling on social media. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
They're not saying, you know what, the next 20 minutes are going to be spent on social media. I don't want to do it with my kids. It's not, no, they just start looking, scrolling. They're like, oh shit, 20 minutes went by and their kid was staring at a TV. They were staring at a phone. So, you know, that's interesting. And it's cool to hear that you got quiet in your head and you found what works for you and what makes you happy. And then you made that happen. So, you know, that's definitely an inspiration, something that I'm going to take with me.
Good stuff, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, I want just to thank you for taking the time. You know, I know it's a holiday, and I appreciate you, taking the time to connect with me. And hopefully, you'll get some time with the family, you know, today. Maybe cut the workday a little short. And
That's what's happening. Yep.
Good. I love it. Do you bike to work? Is that a bike behind you?
No, that's a more of a fancy bike. Google gave me a bike, so I ride it around the office, and yeah, but I don't drive it home for sure.
Nah. Well, cool. Thank you so much, for hopping on, and I
Yeah,
really
Sean.
appreciate it. And
Any way I can help you.
Thank you. And I hope we could stay in touch.
Yeah, brother. Awesome. Reach out anytime.
Thanks. See ya.